Hey, I get it. You've probably spent a good chunk of time scrolling through endless TV options, trying to picture how each one would actually look in your living room, and you're nervous about sinking money into something that might end up looking great on paper but fall flat when you finally mount it. The big question is, will this 85-inch Frame Pro Neo QLED actually live up to the hype for your space, your viewing habits, and your budget? That's the kind of uncertainty that makes us all hesitate at the checkout. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about what makes the Frame Pro different from the regular 85-inch QLEDs that populate most showroom floors. Samsung markets it as an art TV, meaning the screen can double as a digital canvas when you're not watching shows. The art mode pulls from a curated collection of museum-quality pieces, and the frame itself is designed to blend into a gallery-like setting rather than screen television. If you've ever wanted to turn an otherwise idle wall into a rotating gallery, that's the core appeal. But does that artistic ambition translate into a practical everyday experience? Who should consider this TV? If you're a design-oriented homeowner who loves to host gatherings, the Frame Pro can actually become the centerpiece of the room. Imagine a dinner party where you dim the lights, and the wall instantly switches from a vivid 4K movie to a Monet or a contemporary abstract, all without a separate piece of decor. For people who already have a wall that's the focal point of their living space, the ability to switch between high-end art and cinematic content can be a genuine value add. Also, families with kids tend to appreciate larger screens for shared viewing, and the 85-inch diagonal gives plenty of screen real estate without the need to sit too close. On the flip side, you'll want to skip it if you're looking for a pure performance machine without the extra visual flair. The Frame Pro's art mode and the custom frame add a layer of cost that you don't get with a standard Neo QLED. If you're primarily a gamer who cares about ultra-low input lag, or a sports fan who wants the highest possible peak brightness for daytime viewing, you might find a more straightforward QLED model delivering better raw performance per dollar. Also, if your living room layout doesn't have a dedicated wall space that can accommodate a massive 85-inch panel, you'll end up with a screen that overwhelms rather than enhances the room. Now, let's get into some of the concrete strengths that actually matter after you unpack the box. The Neo QLED panel uses a mini LED backlight, which means you get precise zone dimming and deep blacks that make dark scenes look surprisingly detailed. In practice, this translates to a more cinematic feel when you binge-watch Netflix or stream a documentary in low-light rooms. Because the screen is so large, the mini LED technology helps avoid the washout effect you sometimes see on cheaper 85-inch models where the whole picture looks flat. For someone who enjoys movies on a weekend and might want to switch to a calm, ambient art display later, that contrast boost feels genuine. Another practical perk is the built-in One Connect box. Samsung hides most of the cables and ports in a separate box that you can tuck away, then connects to the TV via a single, thin cable. If you've ever wrestled with a spaghetti mess of HDMI, Ethernet, and audio connections behind a TV, you'll appreciate the cleaner look. It also means it's easier to swap in a new sound system later without having to reinstall wires. I've seen this design in a few high-end living rooms, and it really does free up wall space for the artwork you intend to display. On the usability front, the smart platform runs on Tizen, which is fairly responsive and gives you quick access to popular streaming apps without a huge learning curve. The remote includes a built-in microphone for voice commands, and the UI remembers where you left off, so you can jump back into a series without scrolling through menus. This isn't a brand new operating system, so you won't hit the learning curve that some newer platforms impose, but it's still polished enough that even a non-tech-savvy household can navigate it with ease. Of course, there are trade-offs that often get glossed over in marketing copy. The frame itself, while sleek, adds a few extra centimeters to the overall depth of the TV. If your wall cavity is shallow, you'll need to mount the unit a bit further out, which could affect the sleekness you're after. Also, the art mode, while impressive, does lock the TV into a specific mode when active, meaning you can't just flip a switch and instantly watch a show without first exiting the artwork interface. That extra step may feel marginal, But for someone who wants a truly seamless transition from gallery to screen, it can be a minor annoyance. Another point that's worth mentioning is the power consumption. The QLED's local dimming is